All right, let's talk about something that trips up so many real estate agents, new and old. The infamous 3-day rule. It sounds simple, right? But getting this one wrong? Well, it can have some pretty serious consequences for you and your clients. So let's clear it up.
Okay, let's put you in the hot seat for a second. Picture this. You're the listing agent. That perfect offer just hit your inbox. You can feel the clock ticking. So what do? Do you have a standard 3-day window to get a response back? Come on, what's your gut answer?
The answer? It's a big, fat no. 100% absolutely not. Now, if you thought yes, don't worry, you are definitely not alone, but that's the exact myth we are going to bust today, right now.
Here's where it gets all mixed up. The myth, the thing everyone thinks is true, is that you have 3 calendar days to respond to an offer. But the fact, the actual rule, is that you have 3 calendar days to deliver documents. Respond versus deliver, it's just one little word, but believe me, that one word changes absolutely everything.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of it. What is this rule actually for? It's not some kind of countdown clock for your negotiations. Nope. It's a compliance deadline. It's all about your paperwork.
So here's the official definition. It's the requirement for agents to deliver copies of all documents to the relevant parties within 3 calendar days of you getting them. You see those key phrases? Deliver, all documents, relevant parties. Each one is super important.
And let's be crystal clear about this time frame. We are talking about 3 calendar days, not business days. That means weekends count, holidays count. This makes that deadline a whole lot tighter than a lot of people think.
And look, this quote really hammers it home. There's no rule whatsoever on the response time. This is so critical. A buyer can pull their offer back any time before the seller signs on the dotted line. If their offer has its own deadline, well, it just expires. This whole idea that you have some kind of built-in 3-day response window, it's just not real.
All right, so we know it's about delivery, but what does that really mean for you day to day? Let's break down your obligations. Who gets what and when? You know, when you boil it down, it's a super simple 2-step flow. Step 1, a document related to the deal lands in your hands. Step 2, you make sure it gets delivered to everyone who needs to see it, and you do it within those 3 calendar days. Simple as that.
Okay, so who's on this delivery list? Well, first up, no surprise, it's your client. Of course, they need to see everything. But next, and this is so important for your own protection, is your broker in charge. Your BIC is responsible for what you do, and they need a complete file. This rule is about keeping a clean, auditable trail. And finally, you get copies out to the other parties involved in the deal. And when we say documents, what are we talking about? Pretty much everything. Yeah, the first offer, for sure, but also all the counteroffers, any addendums, the closing disclosure, seriously, any piece of paper that's part of that transaction from the very beginning to the very end.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, deliver, respond, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that confusing these two things isn't just a tiny mistake. The professional stakes are actually incredibly high. Think about it. If you're just sitting on an offer because you think you have 3 days to deal with it, you are failing your client. You're breaching your fiduciary duty. You're stopping your seller from making a quick, smart decision that could cost them the best deal they're going to get. You could even lose the whole deal if the buyer gets antsy and just revokes the offer. And you've got to remember, you're not an island in this business. Your actions reflect on your whole brokerage. Your broker in charge is the one who's ultimately on the hook for your compliance, which is exactly why they have to get copies of everything, and fast. Keeping them in the loop protects everybody, you, your client, and the brokerage. All right, let's bring this all home and boil it down to the one thing you absolutely have to remember. It all comes back to that simple, powerful difference between 2 little words. This is it, in the simplest terms I can put it. Do not wait 3 days to respond to an offer. That is not a thing. Your job, your legal obligation, is to deliver all documents as fast as you possibly can, just making sure it happens inside that 3-day safety net. Look, at the end of the day, here's what it comes down to for any true professional. The rule says 3 days for delivery. That's your deadline. But best practice? The way you really serve your client and build a great reputation? You act immediately. So I'm going to leave you with one final thought to chew on. In a market like this, where a great house can be gone in minutes, not days, what's the real cost of waiting? What does it cost your client if you wait even 1 day just because a rule says you can? That's something we should all be thinking about.